everyone. Welcome to Intuitive Vibes Narc Survival 101, dedicated to survivors of abuse. It's your girl Erica here. So first and foremost, if you are new to the channel, then please stick around, listen to the video. It may help you with whatever your situation is. And if you find the video to be helpful in any way, shape, or form, I would ask you to give me a like, but also check out some of my other content, and hopefully if you find any of my other content to be helpful, you can hit the subscribe button and you'll be notified every time I do a video. Also, every Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we have weekly live chats where survivors of the community come together and just discuss everything amongst each other and are able to vent and just let it all out, as well as get answers to any questions that they have. And of course, to all my existing subscribers, welcome back, guys. In today's video, what I'm going to talk about is signs of emotional manipulation. Now, a lot of people correlate emotional manipulation, psychological manipulation, energetic manipulation with, of course, with narcissists and other forms of people with different forms of personality disorders. But the truth of the matter is that even non-narcissists, non-sociopaths, and non-psychopaths are able to utilize emotional manipulation. The only difference is people who have bad intentions, which is generally the narcissist, they pretty much do everything with their agendas where they plan on emotionally manipulating you. But there are times where people use emotional manipulation and sometimes they don't even realize they're doing it. So for example, if you came from a codependent background, a lot of codependents tend to use emotional manipulation and don't really realize that they're doing it. Now, I know there are going to be some people that will say, well, I can tell when someone is trying to emotionally manipulate me. And that could be true, but unfortunately, there are a lot of other people who cannot tell. Emotional manipulation can be pretty hard to detect, especially if you are in a dynamic with someone and you have a trauma bond with them. So if, for example, you were in a dynamic with a narcissist, I mean, there was so much gaslighting and so much manipulation going on, you really couldn't tell the difference of anything because you were just pretty much in a fog. But to be really realistic about it, emotional manipulation can be very, very stealthy. I mean, you have people who've been in relationships with narcissists for several years and didn't even realize they were being emotionally manipulated until the final discard hit. So what we're going to basically do is talk about emotional manipulation and the things you can do. Now, to quickly get into it, emotional manipulators generally use manipulation to pretty much have control over your emotions, have control over your actions, have control over any decisions that you make, anything that you do. They just basically want control. Everybody knows that in any relationship, a healthy relationship, you're supposed to have trust, you're supposed to have respect for one another, and of course, compromise. But when you're dealing with an emotional manipulator, their key goal is to have control over other people. A lot of emotional manipulators have this godlike feel about themselves where they feel that they're in the driver's seat and they can pretty much drive anyone crazy and no one can tell them anything about it. So just keep in mind, emotional manipulators are pretty much people, narcissists, sociopaths, psychopaths, who like to keep control. But without further ado, let's just get in it. Now, the first sign is they make you feel sorry or bad if you're voicing your concerns. So if you make a suggestion or if you ask questions about certain situations, what they will do is they'll probably get aggressive with you to kind of draw you into an argument. They basically want to create a negative aspect, a negative dynamic around the situation in which they at the end can deflect and of course put blame onto you for the reason why you're arguing. See, if you decide to voice your opinion on something, or if you decide to say something or call something out, with them becoming aggressive towards you, that's their way to kind of keep you at bay, to push you back or even push you in the corner. And this strategy is pretty much used to get you to retreat. It's to get you to give in to the aggression, to kind of instill a little bit of fear in you so that way you can know better than to ever question them or make a suggestion that doesn't fit with their plans or according to them. This strategy also controls the entire dynamic. It controls your decision making. So if you decide to say something about something and they're meeting you with that aggression, they're coming at you full force, you may actually backtrack and say, okay, you win. I agree. And that's your way of giving in to them. And they may even make you feel guilty for expressing yourself in the first place. So like, for example, let's say you were having a bad day and you decided to go to this person and explain that you were having a bad day and you're in a funk. They'll use that opportunity to invalidate your feelings and how you had a bad day and put the whole conversation on them. So if you say, hey, I had a really bad day today, and you were about to vent, and all of a sudden, boom, they just cut you off and they're like, you think you had a bad day? How about me? You want to know how my day went? That's pretty much kind of making you feel bad for even having a bad day when you shouldn't be feeling bad about it. So they'll try to top your having a bad day with their problems, that their problems are way more than yours, way more severe than yours. Your problems are so minuscule, they don't even know why you're discussing it. Now, another sign is they'll act like a martyr. Now, a martyr is pretty much someone who's, very, very self-sacrificing and very selfless. They're the kind of people who just constantly give and do things for the greater good. They're very compromising people. But an emotional manipulator will act like a martyr, yet they won't be a martyr. So they'll be very eager to help you with something, whatever that is. They'll be very eager to help you and present to everyone that, hey, yeah, I'm the greatest friend in the world, or I'm the greatest boyfriend or the greatest girlfriend in the world because I am so eager to help this person. But then what they'll eventually do is they'll drag their feet. They'll drag their feet because the reality is they never really wanted to do it. They just wanted to give the impression that they were eager to do it. And of course, what happens? It becomes a burden for them. Since they're looking for ways to avoid the agreement and try to get out of it, they're going to act like it's a huge burden for them. So what they were so eager to do for you, what they were so eager to help you with, eventually becomes a big burden. And of course, because they know they can't get out of it so easily, simply by saying, I just don't want to do it, they'll end up exploiting your emotions just to get out of it. Now, this next one I know a lot of people are familiar with, especially victims of narcissistic abuse. The next sign is they're always joking when they're saying something mean or crude to you. Now, they're insulting you, but they're masking it with sarcasm, with humor. So to appear to the outside world, they're just playing with you. They're just joking. And possibly to even try to gaslight you that they are just joking. But the reality is they're trying to sting you. They're trying to hurt your feelings. They're trying to undermine your confidence. They're trying to plant some form of a seed of doubt in your head. So, prime example of saying something mean and crude, but masking it with humor and sarcasm and concern. Now, the reason they mask these comments is because to the outside world, it has to appear like it's sarcasm, it's humor, or it's concern. But to the victim, the person who's receiving the insult, they eventually end up internalizing that. But they would say things along the lines of, hey, you look great. I almost didn't recognize you. Or maybe if you got up from your desk and walked around, you wouldn't be out of breath so easily. Or, wow, you must have lost a lot of weight because now you could fit a size 10. You feel the sting in that, yet most people would not look at it as being an insult. They'll look at it as either being sarcastic, humorous, or having a voice of concern. Because the perpetrator will always have a response afterwards. I was just joking. I'm only showing concern. Now, another sign is they always one-up you. So if something good happens to you, they have to point out something great either happened to them or to someone else. Let's just say, for example, you got a pay increase at work and you mention it to the person. Oh yeah, they gave me a pay increase. Well, that's good. But did you know John over there got a full promotion? They always have to one-up you, whether it be with themselves or whether it be with presenting other people, because let's face facts, an emotional manipulator does not want to see you doing better than them. They don't want to see you doing good. There's a reason why they are emotionally manipulating you. If you have the spotlight on you, they're looking to take it away from you. See, an emotional manipulator does not want the spotlight on anyone, not just you, on anyone outside of themselves. They may show fake humility, they may show fake love, they may show all of these things, but they will always find a way to try and one-up another individual. If something bad happens to you, they'll also utilize that to point out something worse happened to them. So if you had a relative that passed away, let's say your grandparent passed away, grandmother, grandfather, well, their response to that is, well, I lost both my grandparents at the same time, and you only lost one. So it's not really that bad. Even in negative aspects, they have to one-up you. So whether it be positive or whether it be negative, they always have to one-up everyone else. If something good happens to you, something great happens to them. If something bad happens to you, something way worse happens to them. And you should feel lucky that you're not in their shoes. The next sign, another one that everyone is familiar with. They will not take accountability. They will not take responsibility for the errors in their ways. They will not apologize because they don't believe that they are wrong, even when they know they were wrong, even when you know they're wrong, even when everybody knows they're wrong. They will not take accountability for anything. That's like saying, I'm weak. I'm weak. I can't admit I'm wrong. My pride and my ego is worth way too much than to take accountability for all of my wrongdoings. Instead, what do? They deflect. They deflect. They find a way to make an excuse for their behaviors. If you hadn't done this, I wouldn't have done that. This next sign, yet again, a lot of you are familiar with. They use the silent treatment. They don't return your calls. They don't return your texts. They don't return your emails. They don't respond to you. They don't do anything. They just give you complete and utter silence. This is a tactic that a lot of emotional manipulators use to control you, to control your behaviors, to control how you respond to the silent treatment. This is utilized to pretty much keep you in check, but it also makes you feel responsible for their behaviors. So if you call them out on something, or if you see something or you hear something and you're trying to communicate with them your feelings about it and they give you the silent treatment, this is basically a way to manipulate your mind, to manipulate you to believe that your behaviors are making them act the way they're acting. Now, the next sign is, and it's very similar to gaslighting, they say or they do something and then they later deny it. Now, this is done to make you question the event that may have occurred. So if you remember something and you bring it to their attention and they say, well, I never said that. I never did that. What are you talking about? That makes you question your own memory. That makes you question, well, did they really say this? Did they really? Because they're so adamant in sticking to what they believe is the truth. They're adamant about their denial. So while you're sitting there questioning your memory, questioning, oh crap, did I mistake this? Did I make this up in my head? This is holding you accountable for the misunderstanding as well. So pretty much they do things, they say things, and you are sitting there at a later time bringing it up to them. And of course, the manipulator can pinpoint the problem on you. So now you think it's a misunderstanding, and of course you end up apologizing when the reality is they said it, they did it, they denied it. And of course, last but not least, guilt trips and ultimatums. Emotional manipulators thrive off of these things. They thrive off of it because this puts the person in a very difficult spot. So if the emotional manipulator relied on you for something, finances, emotional support, physical support, whatever resources you have, if they relied on it and you are looking to kind of go your own way, what they will eventually end up doing is guilt tripping you. They'll end up making some type of drastic statement or creating some kind of dramatic event to keep you stuck. No matter what the relationship is, whether it be your family members, your love partner, your friends, your colleagues, hell, even your boss, they will guilt trip you. So if it's family and you decide, your family relies on you for finances or whatever the case may be, and you decide you want to go about and do your own thing, they're going to guilt trip you. They're going to, if they're emotional manipulators, of course, they'll guilt trip you into making you stay. Well, you're just going to abandon your family. You're just going to abandon us. You're going to leave us stuck with the bills. You're going to leave us stuck with this and that. And we're family. How could you do that? Sound familiar? Oftentimes, an emotional manipulator will start a sentence off by saying, well, if you loved me, you would do A, B, and C. Or if you cared about me, or if you cared about us, or if you really wanted to see us happy, you would do A, B, and C. That's a guilt trip, guys. That's an extreme guilt trip. Don't fall for that. Another way is ultimatums. Ultimatums are pretty much putting you in a very difficult spot, pretty much between a rock and a hard place. So if you have people in your life who are emotionally manipulative, they will give you ultimatums. They'll make you choose. They'll make you choose between options that it seems damn near impossible. But listen, if they really cared about you and they really loved you and they really respected you, they will not make you choose. Their happiness is your happiness. So if they're putting their happiness ahead of yours, better believe they are being emotionally manipulative, and they're using their position in your life they're using it against you. And it's really sad that people who call themselves our friends, our family members, our lovers, our colleagues, that they will utilize emotional manipulation. And often people don't really realize or recognize these signs, because a lot of the time you have people who were raised in these dynamics. So sometimes it's considered normal for some people. Sometimes it's just really hard to detect, because you have manipulators that are so precise, that are so conniving, that are just so skilled at what they do. But I do want to give you guys some of the things that you can do for yourself to possibly avoid, or if you notice that you've already been emotionally manipulated, cut off. The one key important thing that I can tell you that you need to do is set up extremely sturdy boundaries. Okay, we're talking up to your chin, to where you got to look over and look at the people on the other side and say, yeah, what can I do for you? And those people are looking at you, because the only way they're going to get over them is if you invite them in. Those boundaries are what's going to protect you. It's going to protect you from emotional manipulation, psychological manipulation, verbal abuse, because anything that anyone does on the outside of those boundaries doesn't even matter. Because as long as they're not crossing your boundaries, they're not going to be prepared. If they try to, they're not going to be prepared for how you will react to them for even being a boundary twister, let alone crossing the boundary. Boundaries let people know that you respect yourself too much to allow anyone to disrespect you. They let people know that you are not taking anyone's nonsense. You're not taking anyone's BS. You're not taking anyone's manipulation. And it also lets them know that you're very discerning. It lets them know that you know what they're about. And the mere fact that you're just keeping them at a distance and you're not cutting them off completely, although I'm not opposed to that either, guys. You can cut them off completely, especially if you really don't have to deal with them at all. It lets them know that you value yourself, you respect yourself, and you will not put up with anyone's nonsense. Another thing you can do is seek a counselor, seek therapy. A therapist can be very helpful in this situation. They can help you identify certain behaviors. They can help you identify certain forms of manipulation. They're a third party. They're not biased because they don't know you. They don't know the situation. They're not affiliated with anyone. So they'll be able to give you their professional opinion and give you certain steps on how you can proceed forward. And of course, there's my personal technique, which is cutting people off. You got to cut off the cancer before it spreads. Unfortunately, there are people that are in our lives. We cannot completely cut them off, but we can keep a safe distance. And that's what I do. I basically keep people at arm's length. People who I no longer affiliate with do get cut off completely, because at the end of the day, whatever actions and behaviors they had was on them, was not on me. And I refuse to tolerate it. So, like I said, I'm not opposed to cutting people off, and I'm not opposed to keeping people at a very far distance. Hey, how you doing? You're good? Okay. And keep it moving. I'm just saying. So guys, those are some of the signs of an emotional manipulator. And again, just to reiterate, guys, not every person who has been emotionally manipulative has done it intentionally, has done it on purpose. You have people who walk with certain types of trauma. You have people who are codependents. You have people who have other types of personality disorders, yet they don't realize it. And it's sort of a defense mechanism, because that's something that they've grown up with. But I will say this, a narcissist, a sociopath, a psychopath, what have you, these types of people are emotionally manipulative with an agenda, okay? They know what they're doing. They know what they're doing, and they know how to get to your weak spots. So please be extremely careful, be very discerning, and like I said, cut them off. Thank you for joining me, guys. I do hope the video was helpful for you. I hope it wasn't too long either, but I hope it really helped some people. It answered some questions, and of course, it gets you through your progress. It gets you through your journey. It gets you through your day. So if you liked the video, be sure to give me a thumbs up. If you are new to the channel and if you found this video to be helpful, please check out my other content, and of course, subscribe. You'll be more than welcome to the community. My Vibers, they're the best. Please be sure to subscribe, and that way you're notified every time a video comes up, and of course when I'm doing the live. So guys, again, thank you so much. I hope you all have a great weekend. Until next time, guys, namaste.